Asuras are considered demons, but we've seen that their stories were not always as polarized as we are led to believe. In some cases, the legends even seem to have been altered to glorify specific gods. We're going to explore the stories of two such Asuras, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, and try to understand the motivations behind their actions.
What's up guys, I'm Deepak. Welcome back to My Theology, where we dissect ancient myths and try to make sense of them. Let's continue our series of monsters and men. In the previous video, I introduced you to Asuras, and be sure to check that video out if you haven't already. But so far, we know that
according to the Puranas, Brahma, the creator, had several mind-bound children. One of them was Marichi. One of his sons was Kashyap. Kashyap in turn had several wives, and we know that his children with Danu and Diti were the Asuras, and his children with Aditi were the Devas. Most myths revolve around the fact that the Devas and the Asuras were in a constant power struggle.
Let's first talk about Hiranyaksha. People who know about the avatars of Vishnu probably know how the Varaha, or the boar incarnation of Vishnu, saved the earth from the demon Hiranyaksha. But for those of you who don't, here's a summary of the legend. Hiranyaksha was born to Kashyap and Diti, and as the king of the Asuras and the ruler of the underworld, Hiranyaksha wanted to expand his kingdom far and wide. This meant gaining control over not just the underworld, but the earth and the upper world as well. In order to do this, he needed to become invincible. Back then, if you wanted to achieve something that was otherwise impossible, you could perform penance to a god of your choosing, who would then grant you a boon if they were pleased. These penances could last a very long time, maybe like 100 to 1,000 years.
Hiranyaksha decided to perform austerities to please Brahma, who was technically his great-grandfather. When Brahma was finally pleased, Hiranyaksha asked that any god, human or animal he names should not be able to kill him. And Brahma granted him that boon. Now that Hiranyaksha had unlocked his max armor, he went on a killing spree and ended up gaining a stronghold over much of the three worlds. But he didn't stop at that. He even abducted the earth, who was personified as Bhumi Devi, and hid her under the bottom of the cosmic ocean.
Wait, what is the cosmic ocean? Do you drown if you're submerged in it just like in a normal ocean? Maybe that's something we'll explore in a later video. But for now, let's just say that Bhumi Devi and all of the mortals were in distress. The Devas, who were already unhappy by the imbalance in power after Hiranyaksha had gained his boon, approached Vishnu, the preserver of the universe, to put an end to Hiranyaksha's atrocities against the mortals. Vishnu assumed the form of a giant boar, Varaha, and dove down to the bottom of the cosmic ocean to lift the earth back up on his tusks. Hiranyaksha heard about all of this and got into a fierce battle with Varaha, which apparently lasted 1,000 years. Eventually though, Hiranyaksha was killed by Varaha, the one animal he apparently forgot to list in his boon from Brahma. And guess what? In classic Bollywood style, where the hero defeats the villain and gets the girl, Varaha also ends up marrying Bhumi Devi and has a child with her called Narakasur. If we only heard this popular version of the story, you'll see how a demon who was wreaking havoc amongst the mortals was finally brought to justice. But was that really the case? Let's explore this the My Theology way. First things first, what does Hiranyaksha's name tell us about him? Hiranya means gold and Aksha means eyes. So, Hiranyaksha describes someone who has golden eyes. One thing you need to know about the names of characters in Indian myths is that they may not be their actual names. These names are usually titles that describe them or their actions. For example,
Krishna, a popular avatar of Vishnu, means the dark-skinned one, but he's also called Keshavan and Murari because he slayed the Asuras Keshi and Mura respectively.
Similarly, Hiranyaksha could literally have had golden eyes, or maybe it was more symbolic and it described his greed in that his eyes were always set on gold. Or maybe it described his prosperous kingdom in that you could see gold anywhere you looked. This last bit might actually be true because there is a mention of a Hiranyapur or the golden city in various legends. In the Mahabharata, Arjun narrates how he slayed the demons of Hiranyapur to help the sages do their yagnas. There's also mention of it in a famous play by Kalidas called Vikramorvashi. This play is set in the era where Keshi was the ruler of Hiranyapur. Yep, the same Keshi that Krishna killed. Coming back, by extension, could all of the three worlds have been as prosperous as Hiranyapur? In time, of course, if it were under Hiranyaksha's rule? We'll never know that for sure, but the atrocities he committed by disrupting the yagnas and hiding the earth can be seen as a very common war strategy. That is, to try and starve the enemy. This does not make it okay by any means, but people do tend to do crazy things during wars. Let me explain. So, the Devas are said to derive their strength from Havis, the oblations offered to them by the mortals as part of sacrificial rites. So, whenever an Asura gains power, their first move is usually to disrupt these sacrificial rites. It could be that Hiranyaksha wanted to take it a step further and make sure that the Devas never regain their strength. So, he hid the entire earth under the cosmic ocean, mortals and all. Maybe it was this sudden lack of Havis that caused so much turmoil amongst the Devas. And I wonder, when they approached Vishnu to restore the earth back up to her position, if they were genuinely worried about the mortals or if they were just looking out for themselves. I guess at the end of the day, you're only a god as long as you have people worshipping you. Also notice how Varaha and Bhumi Devi's son is called Narkasur. See how he is described as an Asura even though none of his parents is one. Some texts explain this by claiming that Narkasur was actually Hiranyaksha's son, conceived when Bhumi Devi was still under his captivity. Others say that Narak gained the title of an Asura because of his deeds and actions, and hence was called Narkasur. Anyways, by killing Hiranyaksha and lifting the earth back up, Vishnu reinstates the Devas. To this day, there's a town in northern India named after this avatar of Vishnu. 10 points to anybody who can guess it. Go ahead, put your answers in the comment below. I'll wait. You know what? Take your time, think about it. I'll let you know the answer at the end of the video. Now, let's talk about Hiranyakashipu. Angered by the killing of his brother, Hiranyakashipu also performs penance to gain a boon from Brahma. Unlike Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu did not want to take any chances. His boon not only prevented him from being killed by any god, human or animal, regardless of whether he named them or not, but also prevented him from being killed either during the day or night, either inside or outside, either on the earth, sky or water. He could also not be harmed by any weapon, dry or wet. Hiranyakashipu thus becomes invincible, and the balance of power is tipped towards the Asuras once again. His hatred for Vishnu combined with his arrogance resulted in him killing anybody who worshipped Vishnu and not him. Imagine the look on his face when he found out that his own son Prahlad was devoted to Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu probably not only felt betrayed by this, but was also concerned about who would carry the legacy of the Asuras forward. So he tried to reason with his son, saying that Vishnu had always opposed the Asuras in their constant battle against the Devas, and that Vishnu had even killed his own uncle. But when he saw that Prahlad's faith in Vishnu did not falter, he tried to put it to the test. Hiranyakashipu tried to set Prahlad on fire, drown him, and even throw him off a cliff. But no matter what, Prahlad escaped unharmed. And all along, Prahlad would just say that Vishnu was everywhere, which is why he was able to come and save him in time. Hearing this, Hiranyakashipu hit a nearby pillar mockingly, demanding that Vishnu come out of hiding if he was really there. To his surprise, Vishnu emerged from the pillar in his Narasimha avatar. Narasimha, as the name suggests, is a half lion, half man, and he drags Hiranyakashipu to a doorway which is not inside nor outside, and gouges the inside of the king with his claws, which I guess technically isn't a weapon, and thus kills this Asura king. This is the most popular narrative of the Narasimha avatar of Vishnu. But although it's popular today, it wasn't half as dramatized in the earlier texts. For example, Narasimha is said to have just waltzed into Hiranyakashipu's court as opposed to having emerged from a pillar. Even Prahlad seems to be in awe of Narasimha, sure, but not overly devoted. But one thing that's common is that an avatar of Vishnu, Narasimha, tips the balance back in favor of the Devas once again and restores world order. All's well that ends well, right? Well, according to some stories that are prevalent in parts of India, Narasimha could not control his bloodlust after killing Hiranyakashipu and started destroying the universe and everyone in it. The Devas then go to Shiva, the god of destruction, for help. Shiva assumes the form of Sharabha, an 8-legged beast that's a strange mix of various animals. Sharabha defeats Narasimha and apparently adds Narasimha's skull to the garland of skulls around his neck. Yup, it's pretty gory and gothic. In India, both Vishnu and Shiva have an almost cult-like following, with both groups trying to prove the superiority of their lord. It's pretty serious and wars have been fought over this. So, it's almost not a surprise that there is another version of this story that's more popular amongst the Vaishnavites, the followers of Vishnu. According to this story, Narasimha defeats Sharabha and wanders aimlessly through the jungles of present-day Andhra Pradesh. He falls in love and settles down with Chanchita, a tribal huntress who is also an incarnation of goddess Lakshmi. The story also describes how he transforms himself into a more amenable form of a man called Narahari. Here again, we can see the issue of these stories being passed down verbally. These myths were usually used to inspire people to do the right thing or as a call of action against an enemy. So, depending on the religious affiliations of the king in power or the agenda they wanted to push amongst the audiences, the bards would accordingly tweak these stories. So there you have it. We've seen how two asuras try to cheat death by gaining boons from Brahma, only for Vishnu to exploit loopholes in these boons and kill them anyways. I guess just directly asking for immortality would have been frowned upon? I don't know. But ironically, I think that them becoming invincible and hence arrogant was probably what led to their eventual demise. I do kind of feel bad for their entire lineage though. First, Hiranyaksha was killed by Vishnu's Varaha avatar. Even though we haven't talked about it, his only son Andaka is killed by Shiva. If we also consider Narakasur to be Hiranyaksha's son, he was killed by Vishnu's Krishna avatar. Hiranyakashipu then becomes king and is killed by Vishnu's Narasimha avatar. Prahlad is said to be a kind and benevolent king, and so is his son Virochana, the next king, and Mahabali, the king after him. But Vishnu takes advantage of Mahabali's kindness and kills him in his Vaman avatar. That's all I have for this episode of Monsters and Men. Please consider subscribing if you like this video and want to see more content like this in the future. Till next time, ciao. For those of you who are still with us, the town I was talking to you about earlier was Baramulla, the gateway to Kashmir. It was originally called Varahamula, Varaha meaning boar and Mula signifying his tusks. There's some interesting folklore relating to the origin of the Valley of Kashmir. You can check out the link in the description if you're interested.